Rion stepped out of his small shuttle and entered the wide market station floating above a green moon. The air inside the station was warm and filled with mixed smells of spices, metal, and strange fruits. The market was always loud, and every corner was alive with traders from different worlds. Bright lights hung above the stalls, and signs in many languages blinked and moved as if speaking. Rion was a young human explorer, not very tall but confident in his walk. He carried a simple bag on his shoulder with only a few credits inside. He needed navigation crystals for his next journey, and he hoped he could get them at a fair price. Humans were still new in this part of space. So many aliens stared at him as he passed. Some looked curious, some excited, and some simply surprised to see a human here. Rion did not mind. He was used to attention. He smiled politely at anyone who met his eyes and tried to look friendly instead of dangerous. He did not want trouble. He only wanted supplies and a chance to rest before leaving again. What he did not know was that someone was watching him from above. Kiri crouched on a roof made of metal plates and broken wires. She was small, almost half Rion's height, with soft fur around her ears and bright golden eyes that reflected light like a cat's. Her body looked light and flexible, and she moved with silent steps. Her tribe called her a Beastwoman, but she was still young, almost like a teenager, full of energy and instinct. She watched Rion ever since he had arrived. She had seen humans before, but never this close. Humans were taller than her people, more straight in their movement, and their expressions were easy to read. Many aliens looked at humans with fear or confusion, but Kiri did not feel fear. She felt curiosity, and something more. Earlier that morning, before the market became crowded, Kiri had been carrying a basket of small tools. She had slipped on an oily patch and almost fallen face first onto the metal floor. Rion, who had just landed and walked past, had reacted quickly and held her basket so it wouldn't crash. He had not said much, only, "Careful there." Then he gave the basket back with a small smile. Kiri had never seen a human smile at her before. She had never been helped so casually either. In her culture, if someone helped you without expecting anything, it meant they were good-hearted. And good-hearted people were worth protecting. So when Rion walked away after helping her, Kiri quietly decided something. In her tribe, protection was not a small thing. Protection meant connection, loyalty, and responsibility. And after being helped, she believed Rion now belonged under her guard. She followed him all morning, keeping her steps quiet, jumping from roof to roof. She never lost sight of him. She watched him talk to traders, look at fruit stalls, and check small gadgets. She stayed hidden, but she never went far. Rion, unaware of her eyes, continued walking through the market until he reached an old reptilian merchant whose skin looked like cracked stone. The merchant had navigation crystals on his table, glowing in many colors. Rion leaned down to examine them. "Are these stable? I need something that can handle long jumps." The old merchant nodded slowly and tapped his claws on the table. "Strong crystals. Good for long travel. Price is fair." Rion smiled. "Fair for you, or fair for me?" The merchant laughed, a deep, slow sound. "For both. But also, human. Someone watches you." Rion raised an eyebrow. "Watches me? Who?" The merchant pointed a claw upward, but before Rion could look, the merchant pulled his hand back. "She is fast. Beastwoman. Small. Good jump. Been watching since you entered." Rion blinked, surprised. "Are you sure? I didn't notice anyone." "You humans never notice Beastwomen. They are silent. She follows with purpose." Rion laughed lightly, trying not to look worried. "Maybe she's just curious." The merchant leaned closer. "Or maybe she chose you." "Hard to know. They have strong instincts." Rion thought the merchant was joking, so he just smiled and continued bargaining. He did not feel any danger. The market was peaceful, and Beastwomen were not known for attacking people. They were quick, loyal, and sometimes stubborn, but not dangerous. But Kiri was watching. From above, she saw Rion standing close to the trader. She saw the way he leaned forward, how he talked softly, how he smiled. In her culture, talking closely like that meant trust or alliance. It meant closeness. She had already decided that Rion was under her protection. If he bonded with someone else, even by mistake, it could create conflict. Her small hands tightened. Her instincts became louder. She could not let someone else claim him. It was her job to protect him. He helped her first. That mattered. She jumped silently to the next roof, then to the edge of a hanging sign. She watched Rion's hand resting on the table, his arm uncovered. Her eyes narrowed. A simple mark would solve everything. A mark would show everyone that she was his guard, and he was under her protection. No traitor would misunderstand after that. She took a deep breath and jumped. She landed right beside Rion, startling everyone around. The reptilian trader stepped back so fast he almost knocked over his own crystals. Rion turned sharply, shocked at the sudden appearance of a small creature with furred ears and bright golden eyes. Before he could say anything, Kiri grabbed his hand with both of her small hands. Her grip was strong for someone so tiny. Rion froze, confused. He opened his mouth to ask if she was hurt or needed help. But Kiri did not wait. She leaned forward and bit his hand. Not hard enough to injure him, but firm enough to leave a visible mark. Her teeth were small but sharp, and Rion instinctively pulled back in surprise. A loud gasp echoed around the market. Every trader turned. Every guard stopped walking. Even people who were far away suddenly looked toward the sound. A Beastwoman had just bitten a human. Rion stared at her, shocked. What? Why did you do that? Kiri looked up at him, her golden eyes bright and serious. She did not speak yet. She simply stepped in front of him and lowered her body slightly, as if guarding him. The reptilian trader lifted his hands slowly. Human? She marked you. Marked me? Rion repeated, confused. Around them, whispers spread like fire. She bit him. She marked the human. Does he know what that means? Poor human. He has no idea. Rion looked at his hand. The bite was not deep, just enough to show a small circle of pressure marks. It did not hurt much, but it confused him deeply. Guards began to walk toward them. They were tall, armored aliens with wide shoulders and heavy boots. They looked cautious, not aggressive, but serious about the situation. One guard spoke calmly. Beastwoman Kiri, why did you do that? Kiri kept standing in front of Rion. Her small body was tense, ready to defend. She answered with short words. He helped me. He is safe. I protect. Her voice was soft but determined. Rion blinked. He had understood some of her words earlier when she thanked him, but now her meaning was completely unclear. Protect him? From what? And why? Bite him. The guard sighed. The mark means loyalty. It means she considers him under her protection. It is a serious thing. Rion looked at Kiri again. She did not look dangerous. She looked serious and loyal. But he had never asked for this. He had no idea this would happen just because he stopped her from dropping a basket. More guards came. More traders gathered around. Some whispered. Some watched with wide eyes. The whole market seemed to be staring at them. Rion felt overwhelmed. I didn't know. I didn't do anything. I just helped her so she wouldn't fall. Not. But Kiri shook her head quickly. Help is big. Help means bond. Rion stared at her. Bond? No. No. That's not. The guard lifted a hand to calm him. Human, do not worry. We will take both of you to the chief. He will explain everything. The mark must be understood. It cannot be ignored. The mark. The mark. Rion sighed helplessly. He had only wanted navigation crystals. Now he was being escorted by guards, followed by a small beastwoman who had bitten him, and watched by half the market. Kiri stayed close to him, walking at his side but half a step ahead, as if clearing the path for him. She glared at anyone who looked too long. Her ears stayed high, listening to every sound. When someone came too close, she pulled Rion slightly behind her. She acted like he was her responsibility. Rion felt confused, embarrassed, and strangely touched all at the same time. He did not want trouble. He did not want enemies. And he certainly did not want a misunderstanding with a culture he did not know well. But Kiri seemed completely sure of her actions. She did not regret. She did not fear. She believed she had done the right thing. The guards led them through the market until they reached a large door covered in metal carvings of many alien species. 2 guards opened the door, and Rion stepped inside with Kiri walking proudly beside him. The chief of the market, an old being with long white horns and calm eyes, stood waiting for them. He looked at Rion's hand, then at Kiri, then back at Rion. "Human," the chief said in a slow, wise voice, "you must understand something important. What she did is not small. It is not a joke. It is a binding decision in her culture. And now, you may be involved in something much bigger than you expected." Rion swallowed hard. Kiri took a deep breath and said softly, "I protect him. He's safe. He mine to guard." Rion stared at her in silence, wondering what he had gotten himself into. Rion stood silently in front of the market chief, unsure what to say or how to even react. Kiri stayed close to him, standing just a little ahead like she was shielding him from danger. Her furred ears were raised, and her tail flicked slowly as she watched the chief with careful eyes. The room was quiet except for the faint hum of the station's engines. The walls were made of polished metal carved with symbols from many cultures. The guards stood at both sides like tall statues. Rion finally cleared his throat. "Sir, I don't think I understand what really happened. She bit me. But it wasn't to hurt me, right?" The chief nodded gently. "No, young human. It was not an attack. It was a mark." He turned his attention toward Kiri. "Kiri, explain with your own words." Kiri touched her chest lightly and said, "He helped. He saved Basket. He did not laugh at me. He was kind." She pointed to Rion's hand. "I mark so, all know. I protect." Rion rubbed the spot where she bit him. It was still warm, but not painful. "But why a bite? Couldn't you just say thank you?" Kiri shook her head quickly. "Words are light. Mark is strong. Mark stays." The chief sighed softly. "In her tribe, a bite is a promise. It means loyalty, protection, and connection. If someone helps them with honesty, they respond with a mark. And that mark is not taken lightly." Rion felt a small wave of nervousness. "So, what does it mean for me? Do I have to do something now?" "Well," the chief smiled in a patient, almost fatherly way. "Not exactly. You are not required to belong to her tribe or follow their customs. But ignoring the mark would be seen as disrespect. Kiri believes you are someone worth guarding. If you reject her now, her tribe might think you insulted her loyalty." Kiri's golden eyes looked up at Rion with sincere hope. She had no anger in her expression, only determination and a deep instinct to protect the one who helped her. Rion sighed softly. He had never expected a situation like this. He came for navigation crystals, not a cultural problem. He crouched down a little to meet Kiri's eyes. "Kiri, I didn't know my small help meant something big to you. I didn't know your customs." He pointed at the bite mark. "Does this mean you think I belong to your care?" Kiri nodded once, firm and clear. Yes. I guard you. You safe when I am near. Quote. Rion felt confused, embarrassed, and also moved by her loyalty. She was small, yet she stood like a shield for him. Before he could speak again, a loud alarm echoed through the station. Red lights flashed across the walls, and a sharp siren filled the room. The chief's eyes widened. Raiders. They are attacking the outer docks. The guards immediately stood ready. One of them rushed forward. Chief, the raiders are trying to break into the storage bays. We need support. The chief looked at Rion. This is dangerous. You should stay inside. Kiri, you stay here as well. But Kiri growled softly, a quiet warning sound. Rion felt a strange sense of responsibility. He looked at the chief. I'm not helpless. I can help too. I know defensive tactics. I've trained for emergency fights. The chief hesitated for a moment, then gave a slow nod. If you truly want to help, then stay close to the guards and follow instructions. He looked at Kiri. And you, do not let him out of your sight. Kiri's eyes brightened with determination. Never. The door opened, and the guards rushed out into the loud hallway. Rion followed them, and Kiri moved like a shadow at his side, always slightly ahead, always watching. As they exited the chief's chamber, the air filled with tension. Traders were running to secure their stalls. Lights flickered as explosions shook the far side of the station. Heavy footsteps echoed as guards rushed toward the danger. Rion and Kiri reached the balcony overlooking the lower market area. A group of raiders, tall aliens in dark armor, had blasted open one of the cargo gates and were moving quickly. Their weapons were not lethal, but they were strong enough to cause chaos. Kiri crouched low, her eyes scanning every movement. Bad ones, she whispered. Rion nodded. We need to stop them from taking the supplies. A guard shouted, We need someone fast to warn the east side guards. The raiders are splitting. Kiri reacted instantly. I go. Before Rion could stop her, she dashed forward with incredible speed. She jumped from the balcony to a lower ledge, then to a hanging beam, then landed on a platform across the market. Her small size allowed her to slip between stalls and crates like a blur. Rion watched with amazement. He had never seen someone move like that. The guard beside him said, Beastwomen are fast. She will deliver the warning. Rion nodded, impressed. But he could not just stand and watch. He saw the raiders pushing toward a group of frightened traders. He took a deep breath and followed the guards down the stairs. When they reached the ground floor, the raiders fired stun bursts toward anyone trying to resist. Crates exploded into pieces. Traders hid behind their stalls, shaking. Rion moved behind a metal pillar. They're pushing toward the center. The guard captain shouted back, Then we hold them here. Rion watched the raiders' movements. He noticed how they grouped tightly, always protecting the one carrying a heavy pack. He recognized the pattern. Uncreased. 500. Uncreased. I'm C. They're trying to carry something out. If we separate them from the pack, we can weaken them. The guard captain stared at him. You know their tactics? I learned similar tactics in training. Trust me. The captain nodded. Tell us what to do. Rion pointed toward the left side. Send 2 guards along the wall. Move quietly. I'll draw their attention from the right. The captain gave orders quickly. Rion grabbed a small, discarded metal sheet and held it like a shield. He ran toward the right side, banging the metal loudly. The raiders turned instantly. Human! One of them shouted. Get him! The moment they shifted, the 2 guards on the left slipped behind them and blocked their escape path. The raiders were now surrounded. They tried to push forward, but Rion stepped out with steady movement and shouted, Drop your pack and leave. The raiders hesitated, unsure how a single human stood so fearless in front of them. A few seconds later, A soft growl echoed from above. Kiri jumped down from a high beam and landed in front of Rion. She stood with her small feet apart, ready to fight. Her ears were pinned back, and her eyes glowed fiercely. The raiders stepped back in surprise. Another one? Kiri pointed at them sharply. No, hurt him. No, touch him. Her voice was low, angry, and full of warning. One raider tried to rush forward, but Kiri moved faster. She dashed under his arms, kicked his leg, and knocked him off balance. The guards moved in immediately and disarmed him. Another raider tried to grab her, but Rion stepped forward and blocked the attack with the metal sheet. The raider stumbled, and a guard knocked him down. With Kiri's speed and Rion's quick thinking, the raiders were soon overwhelmed. The guards tied them with energy bands and secured the stolen pack. The captain shouted, "The storage bays are safe. The raiders are captured." The market erupted with cheers. Traders came out of hiding, relief spreading across their faces. The alarms slowly turned off, and the lights returned to normal brightness. Kiri stood proudly beside Rion, breathing slightly fast but unharmed. Rion laughed lightly. "I'm not strong like you, but I can think fast." "You brave?" she said softly. The chief arrived with a group of elders. He looked at the scene, then at Rion, then at Kiri. "You both worked together. You protected the market." 3. End quote. The traders gathered around. Some bowed to Kiri. Some clapped for Rion. The guards stood proudly beside them. The chief looked at Ryan with a warm expression. "Your courage helped save many lives today. You showed leadership. You showed strength." Rion shook his head humbly. "I just did what felt right." Kiri nodded proudly. "He did right. He always will." The chief turned toward her. "Kiri, your loyalty is strong. Your instincts guided you well. But the mark you placed on him must now be given a new meaning." Kiri looked confused. "New meaning?" The chief smiled. "He is not your possession. He is not your command. He is your partner, your equal. The mark now means a bond of respect, not ownership." Kiri's eyes softened. She turned to Rion. "Equal?" Rion nodded gently. "Yes. Friends. Partners." Kiri hesitated only for a moment. Then she stepped closer. She lifted his hand carefully and gave it a small, gentle bite, so light it was almost like a touch. The mark did not hurt. It felt warm, soft, and full of meaning. This time, her eyes were bright with joy instead of tension. Rion smiled. "So this one means equal?" Kiri nodded happily. "Yes, equal." The traders cheered again, celebrating the new bond between a human and a beastwoman. The guards clapped, and even the chief laughed softly, pleased with the peaceful resolution. Rion looked around at the market. He had arrived in search of navigation crystals but found something unexpected: trust, friendship, and a strange but loyal partner. Kiri walked beside him as they moved through the market. She stayed close, her steps light, her ears twitching happily. Rion looked down at her. "So, what now?" Kiri answered without hesitation. "We go together." Rion smiled. "Yeah, I think we do." And so, with a new bond formed and a new journey waiting, Rion and Kiri left the market side by side. The universe was wide, full of danger and mystery. But now, Rion felt something he had not felt in a long time. He was not alone. He had a loyal guardian at his side. And sometimes, the smallest protector had the biggest heart.